One does not expect to see much evidence in Saigon that the country is nearer to peace than at any time since the long war began. A generation of fighting has made the Vietnamese pessimists. If there is an absence of excitement about the prospect of peace, there is much evidence that the government here is preparing for the event. All this week, thousands of hastily prepared posters have been pasted up on the city buildings. And for the first time in 4 years, since the last peace talks in fact, flags are being sold on the streets as part of the pro-Thieu, pro-loyalist, pro-war campaign. People are expected to display them prominently. Other banners up today endorse President Thieu's demand for a referendum on whether the people want any communist participation in a Saigon government. A referendum under the present law is of course nonsense. To endorse communism by word or by vote is punishable by death. Thieu's propaganda is no less effective than Hanoi's. So it's not surprising that when you stop people in the streets, their arguments tend to be identical. It's simply that if Hanoi really wants peace, it has only to turn around and walk out of South Vietnam. Back up its promise of a ceasefire, they say, by taking its 13 divisions out of the country. Hanoi, they say, is proposing peace terms very favorable to itself in a war that it's far from winning. Left to his own opinion and that of his military advisers, President Thieu can be expected to reject out of hand any new Hanoi proposal. But we know, of course, that any decision which directly involves Washington is not made on his own. If he continues blocking the peace proposals, President Thieu runs the risk of alienating Washington and President Nixon, who can argue in his own terms that he's ended the war and that from then on his responsibility ends. But President Thieu has warned Washington many times this week that a withdrawal of American support here could lead to a bloodshed. It could lead to a spate of intensive Viet Cong activity here in Saigon. It could lead to massive defection in the army, even an attempted coup. And this President Thieu knows the Americans cannot afford, however attractive Hanoi makes its proposals. Michael Nicholson, News at 10, Saigon.